Horrible American tradition of prom. Big Tug video.
Prom. I usually have something silly and fun to say at this point in the video to get it moving, but I don't. What is prom? What the hell is going on here? It's a teenage rite of passage. We have a bunch of movies and TV shows based around the concept, and we put a bunch of pressure on the kids to make sure they enjoy it, but like, it's just a...
It's dumb. It's a dance where you have to get dressed up. Prom blows. And it's also like a popularity contest when they have like prom king and prom queen. And like, yeah, it's great if you get that or like whatever. But I just think the whole idea of prom like could just be so reformatted to be more fun than like you have to ask out your date and show up in a dress and sit at a round table with a specific set of people and then dance for a certain amount of time and elect leaders for certain things. Oh my God.
Has no relation. So at its very essence, prom started as Illuminati cosplay, but even the name prom is pretentious. Do you know where the name prom comes from? I didn't until I made this video. It comes from the old southern fancy term of promenade, which means couples follow one another in a given direction, each couple having both hands joined, which would be cute if proms weren't just teenagers rubbing butts to Little John. Throughout the 20th century, the ritual of prom spread out.
Yeah, and then they put on the cha-cha slide, bro, and it's just like all the vibes just go down. Just all the vibes just immediately go down. I've been listening to the cha-cha slide since I was like 4 years old. Like that, dude. To the left. Bring it back now, y'all. One out this time. One out this time. Now cha-cha real smooth.
Ready to make children. Oh, Tucker, a 17-year-old ready to bear children? That's gross. Well, you also have to realize that the average age of a bride in 1920 was 21 years old, and that's an average. So that means a lot of them were younger than 21, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. By the 1940s, the concept of teenager entered the American zeitgeist, and advertisers started marketing directly to this untapped customer base.
Bro, that's wild. Like, most of your grandparents were having kids in, like, high school, early college. Like, my grandparents had kids at, like, 19, dude. Like, what? Dude, you're a kid. You're fucking 19, you're having children?
Clubs and even yachts if you grew up in the Nantucket. Today, it's estimated that the prom industry is worth $4 billion annually, mostly due to teen-led prom committees that pick outlandish themes for their toddler grinding session, and parents who don't know that buying an $800 pink sparkle dress is not a good investment for a one-night.
That's going to get worn once! One time! And it's not your wedding, right? Like, yeah, your wedding once, right? But, like, why? Wedding, yeah, big fucking moment in your life. Prom?
I'll take a look at what exactly goes into prom and find out just exactly how stupid this whole ordeal is. Because if it's an American tradition, you know it started somewhere stupid. God bless this beautiful country. So I'm going to do this chronologically in order so that we can categorize every dumb thing that happens on prom night. The beginning of prom starts way before the underpaid teacher breathalyzes you at the front door. Weeks before the big day, you've already spent countless hours thinking about prom. There's a lot to do and the stakes are high. Well, relatively high. You're 17 years old. You haven't really dealt with a lot yet. But it's understandable why kids are so worried about prom because the narrative surrounding this night is always overblown. Even seemingly rational adults will tell you it's a night you're never going to forget, which is crazy because I had to dig through picture albums to figure out if I actually went to it or not. So let's take a look at all the little things that stress high schoolers out even before the night of prom begins. Of course, the first order of going to prom is finding yourself a date, which is a nightmare. If you're one of those off-putting couples that
oh my God, yo, I remember the stress of that shit. It was so easy, like, because my school had a date, like, had a dance every year for each grade. Well, they would combine freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. But, like, I remember freshman year was easy because a girl asked me, right? Sophomore year, brutal. You're just like, who the fuck do I ask? And then it's so awkward. And you know when people do their promposals and it's just so cringy? And they bring like flowers and a fucking fat ass card. And then the girl says no. Ugh.
Been together since freshman year, then you got it covered. You don't have to go around looking for people, but you are weird. I don't want to trash on like the concept of true love and high school sweethearts, but those people, they always have a vibe to them. You know, for everyone else, it's time to go on what I call the charm offensive. This used to
They always have a vibe to them. What the fuck does that mean? Like, high school sweethearts, they always have a vibe. Never leave their hometown vibe.
Just walking up to someone you might have a crush on and asking them out to prom. Maybe doing it a little bit in a corny style with some flowers, maybe some chocolates if she's a muncher. But just simply asking someone out to prom nowadays will not even come close to cutting it in the year 2024. You know, the simple acts of love and tenderness.
Didn't you go to an all-guys school? Yeah. but you weren't allowed to ask another guy to prom because it was a Catholic school and that was gay.
That human beings are so desperate for and that we need to fill our full lives. Yeah, that's not what the girlies are looking for anymore, buddy. They want to go viral. They want to get the clicks. Enter the birth of the promposal, a phrase that tastes like dirty pennies when it leaves my mouth. At its core, a promposal is combining the teenage aesthetic with the public presentation of a wedding proposal. Generally, it consists with a bunch of people running up to a girl with a big sign that has something funny written on it while everyone films with their phones. You know, a nice tender moment.
It's always so cringy too. Will you swing with me to prom? Would I be able to score a goal with you on prom night? Oh my God. Fuck.
With all the privacy of someone who just survived a car accident. But even then, the most popular girls in school are not going to say yes to a simple sign. They're going to want something a little bit more, maybe a lot of bit more, honestly. They want spectacle, pizzazz. They want something you need an engineering degree to pull off. One guy wrote,
"Can I haul you to prom?" Bro, what? Bro rented a U-Haul truck to ask her to prom.
An engineering degree to pull off. One guy wrote prom on 500 ping pong balls and then stuffed them into this girl's locker, so when she opened them up, it would all pour out in an obnoxious way. Then there's this other kid who got the whole school band to play Can't Take My Eye Off You while he serenaded his target. And I mean, hats off to you, kid. If you got a voice and you can sing for a woman, I guess, but just the idea of
I have always thought that the public display of affection of singing to the person you love is always cringy. Getting up and like professing your love in song is so awkward. Like when you watch a movie and it's like they're around a campfire and it's like everybody's there just sitting around having a fun time, and then the guy just brings out a guitar and just turns to the girl and just goes and starts playing that shit. I'm like, oh fuck no, here we go.
Those islands that, you know, do the little dances.
And I owe it all to
and she's just sitting there like,
you.
I just find it very embarrassing to sing for a girl. The point is, you can't simply ask. The algorithm...
Will you be the chicken to my nugget at prom? Like, this one's so stupid, it's funny, though.
Won't allow it. You gotta go viral. You gotta make your feelings content. And that's what I do, and I'm fine. I'm doing great. I'm not grinding my teeth in my sleep due to overwhelming guilt and pressure. Promposals are getting so extravagant that even large corporations and companies are jumping in on the ability to make money off these kids. Even the Empire State Building is selling promposal packages. For $250, you can prompose on the 86th floor observatory with massive letters that spell out prom. And the package includes some romantic lighting along with 2 champagne flutes filled up with sparkling cider, which is cute, but wouldn't this moment be reserved for people who are like actually proposing? You know what, fuck it. No, let's not give this beautiful moment to people who are gonna spend the rest of their lives with each other. Let's give it to 2 kids who are gonna hate each other by summer. Next up, let's talk about the attire, the silly clown-like attire. The dress code of prom is one of the weirder aspects of the night. You know when you overdress a baby when you bring them to church on Easter because it's cute? Well, that's kind of the vibe of prom, just children emulating what they think adults would wear to fancy events and missing the mark by several hundred yards. So let's start with the tux. With the fellas, the dress code is...
I don't think I've worn a tuxedo since high school. Like, I mean, I used to have a dress code, but like prom attire, like the only time you're gonna wear a tux is at weddings or like funerals. Not a tux, but like a fancy, like a funeral. Like somebody's dying or somebody's getting married.
Is usually formal or black tie. And honestly, this might be the only time in your entire life where you're gonna end up wearing a tux, which I bet you kids didn't know that, but as an adult, you don't really wear tuxedos, ever, at all. Most weddings I've been to aren't even black tie. You just wear a nice pair of chinos and a fancy dress shirt. I think the entire tuxedo industry is being held up by teenagers and butlers. And also, what the fuck is going on with tuxedos? It's like a weird Amish version of a suit. All clothing technology.
Yeah, like you don't wear a tux to somebody else's wedding. You wear a tux to your wedding. Or if you're a best man, that's when you're wearing a tux. Like if you're on stage when people are getting married, you're fancy like that. Otherwise, just wear like a regular suit.
For example, the tuxedo shirt. What the fuck is going on here? It's got all these weird slats, like it's window blinds for your bare skin. And then it has holes, but no buttons for those holes. Instead, it has like these metal studs that attach through the button. Like, buttons are way more simple than whatever the fuck's going on here. What is this archaic form of fastening? Are you afraid of buttons? Do you think poor people only use buttons? Rich people love buttons. And that's just the shirt. Then you gotta get like a vest, a bow tie, a jacket. You end up looking like a magician. You don't look cool. And those weird pocket handkerchief things, what are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with the handkerchief? You're gonna blow your nose into that baby elf blanket and put it back into your...
Yo, when people do that, I always think that's disgusting. Blowing your nose into a handkerchief and then keeping it.
Your pocket. I know you're renting this thing. That's not gonna work. But I mean, at least with the tux, you hardly have to think about it. If you're lucky, you get to rent one for like $100. You hang out with the boys for a night and then bring it back to the strip mall the next morning. But the prom dress? That's a whole different beast. That's a whole different monster. Dads of daughters, bless your hearts, because for the next few weeks, your life is going to be an expensive disaster. The market for prom dresses is valued at over $777 million annually. And there are rental options for prom dresses, but fuck that, baby. These girls need to buy. They're not renting shit. They want to buy a $600 mermaid cosplay dress and then never wear that thing again for the rest of their lives. That's just the culture. The idea of owning that dress is part of what makes prom so special to these young ladies. It's like a weird...
And then it's gonna sit in a closet forever. Like, that's the thing, though. Like, I have some... Like, most of my friends are older than me, and I have some friends that are, like, 26, 27. Bro, their shit's probably just sitting in a closet. And they haven't looked at it in 8 years.
Memento that they get to keep forever. Just on a cozy night, walking over to your closet and giving that thing a good sniff to remember how the air hung thick with Axe body spray. On average, that dress is going to cost you between $300 and $700, and we're not even talking about the most expensive ones. Get you a Giovanni prom dress for $3,000 to show all those bitches out.
$3 fucking grand? Yo, you're wild. You're wild if you think when I have a kid one day and my kid comes to me and goes, hey, can you spend $3 grand on a prom dress? No. No, I'm okay.
Done. You know how on every other night of the year girls will do their own makeup? Not tonight. You gotta hire a very expensive fancy person to do your makeup for you. And I'm not gonna sit here and make fun of teenage girls' prom makeup. I'm sure it makes sense to them in a weird way, but this is weird.
Oh my god, like the Jersey Shore makeup where like where they get a spray tan. Dude, the funniest thing about prom season, because I remember seeing this, a lot of people get spray tans for prom, but they have to use their regular makeup, and their regular makeup doesn't match the shade of their skin when they're spray tanned. So their face is ghost white because that's how pale they are. But then the rest of their body is like, I just went to Bora Bora for fucking 6 months tan. And so they scroll into prom just like genuinely like ghost neck up, and then just fucking like Jersey Snooki, Jersey Shore Snooki from the rest of the way down.
And all those extra things add up fast, because when girls were surveyed about how much they spent on prom, on average, it was $1,139. Yikes. Whoa, costume change. What happened? Did my mic die in the middle of me recording this, and I recorded the rest of the video already, and now I have to make the whole thing again? Yes, it did. Let's continue. So now that you've acquired a date, an outfit, and a sense of dread, let's talk about where you go before prom. I mean, there's the typical meetup, which we call somebody's house. That's usually where you end up before prom. Whether you're going stag because you couldn't get it done, or you're going on a weird quadruple date, this is where you're gonna end up being.
Bro, I'm just not going. I'm just not going, though. As a dude, if I get a date, I'm just not pulling up.
It's usually the house of the parents of one of the kids in the group that you're hanging out with. And if you're lucky, it's a cool mom who's not going to notice you took a couple White Claws out of the mini fridge in the garage. And if you're super unlucky, it's going to be the parents of the prom date you're taking, which means you're going to have a lot of awkward conversations with a father who fully understands what you're trying to do with his daughter. You're going to end up taking...
Yeah, I remember freshman year, the girl that I took's dad said he had a lot of knives. He sat me down and talked to me about how many knives he had. And I was like, okay. Okay.
Or you're going to take pictures out on the lawn in the middle of June heat. And the parents aren't going to be able to work the camera properly, and you're going to leave a pretty sweaty handprint on your date's back. So it's kind of a nightmare, but it's only 30 minutes to an hour, and then you move on to the next location, which is usually the... So the moment is finally here, the one you'll remember for the rest of your life. You stumble out of your mom's friend's crowded minivan into the painfully bright sidewalk, convince a chaperone at the door that you and your prom date are as sober as you can pretend to be, enter into a giant dimly lit room full of blue and purple lighting, balloons, teachers, and all the kids you've been arbitrarily forced to hang out with for the past 4 years. Welcome to prom. You can't escape.
Yo, people probably get fucked up at prom now, though. Like, even 4 years ago, like, weed carts weren't that big of a thing when I was in high school. But now, people probably just be hitting blinkers in bathrooms and just walking back out just fucking blasted.
Escape about prom is the soundtrack. There's gonna be someone playing music, and it's gonna be bad. With all the hype surrounding prom, it's easy to forget the main point of prom, which is to boogie. It's to get down on the dance floor, which is a bummer for any white boy like me out there who has all the rhythm of a dung beetle. And that pain will only be magnified by the prom DJ, someone who has given up completely in their life. So there are two types of prom DJs. The one who has the balls to play WAP and They Not Like Us to the dismay of every teacher and chaperone in that building, or the ones who just dust off an old wedding playlist. Nothing says this night will define me for the rest of my life like watching a bunch of teenagers pretending they're too cool to do the YMCA dance. And therein lies the paradox of the prom DJ. Much like the—
Yo, I'd dance to the YMCA, though. I'd dance to the YMCA, though. I mean... YMCA. Fucking, I'd be fucking dancing to that.
That's the only way you can do a good job as a prom DJ, so good luck. Try not to look like a creep and try not to get arrested. Both of those things are going to be impossible for you. And speaking of the adults who don't want to see young ladies shaking their ass to Meg Thee Stallion, let's talk about the adult chaperone. While you're busy grinding it out on the dance floor with your prom date, there's a bunch of teachers and parents watching you do that, which is nuts. On average, a teacher only makes about $69,000 a year, which is not great. And you have to make about $110,000 a year to own a home, so none of these teachers live in a house. So odds are your bedroom is probably bigger than the apartment your teacher lives in. And instead of going out on a Friday night and trying to jumpstart their sex life, they have to watch you have one all night. And then they go back to their shitty little apartment and watch Euphoria just to get a glimpse of what it might be to be a kid again. So you're basically cucking them on a weekend night, which is not cool. So cut them some slack and don't—
Bro, I remember the priests were at the prom. You'd pull up, you'd have to introduce your date to all the fathers. Hello, father. Hello, father. All of them. Oh my God. It was bad.
be a dick about being a dick. Try and get laid, but don't do it in front of them. But let's talk about the people who are always going to be dicks, aka everyone around you, the kids. Prom isn't about some weird DJ or the teachers, it's about you and the friends around you. The kids you've known since everyone believed in Santa Claus and you all smelled like wet crackers and piss. And even though all of you were told you're special snowflakes with unique abilities and talents, you're not. You're all the same people. You are all archetypes. A copy of a copy. And that's okay. We all are. But prom can take these archetypes to an extreme. So let me break down some of the people you're gonna run into. We have the never gonna leave this small town kid. No prom is complete without the kids who got too drunk too early. College is really the time where you learn how to hold your liquor. It's where you put in your 10,000 hours and become an expert by playing games like beer pong. And
yeah, I'm like really confident in drinking now. It's like, it's kind of upsetting, but I'm like fairly confident that for my weight, I could put people under the table, dude. Like, I'll have arguments with my friends where we're like, dude, I'll match you right now. And then we'll just, that's called alcoholism? Oh, definitely. Where we'll play Pong, and I'll be like, all right, we're putting like 3 shots on this game. And then I'll proceed to miss front cup, and then get, and then fucking get one of my own cups in.
Edward 40 Hand. But these kids will never get their BA in
I want to do Edward 40 Hands so bad. I would love to do a YouTube video of me doing Edward 40 Hands.
They're gonna learn real hard real quick. They show up reeking like a bathtub distillery, awkwardly fumbling to find their ticket while they're blowing dragon breath into the volleyball coach's face. A lot of them even get caught in the act, chugging nips on their way into the building. Their night is over before it began. The best of them are sent home, and the worst of them have to deal with the cops. But lucky for them, they're gonna have a lot of time to work on their livers for the next 30 years after they achieve their lifetime jobs at the box factory on the outside of town. America runs on alcoholic. Next up, we have the kid.
What's really degenerative, though, like, I still think it's, like, stupid to be high in class, like, because that's why you're failing your courses. But if you're, like, drunk at school, that's, like, That's like another level of degenerate.
I like to call the dancing Melvin. You guys know Melvin, right? The kid who's not that weird, but also not popular. He'd probably make some friends if he wasn't so shy, but sadly, his self-confidence sabotages his social life. Well, miraculously, at least once a prom, the high school Melvin realizes that the clock is ticking on his high school experience. In like a 90s teen movie, they push all their chips to the center and go all in on life. They get to the center of the dance floor and they hit the worm. They hit the Charleston. They're hitting the goddamn two-step. Everyone thought Melvin was just the run-of-the-mill virgin nerd. But turns out they didn't go stag because they couldn't get a date. They went stag because they had a plan on picking up everyone else's. Now they're absolutely killing it. There's a circle around him of all the popular kids. They're chanting his name. And every second he's killing it in that dance floor, his chances of getting laid are rising exponentially. Melvin, when we go back to school on Monday, you might go right back to being the quiet kid that no one remembers. But tonight, you're the star in my heart. Also, know when to stop. Know when to stop doing the dance, because when nerds get attention, they don't know, they just get addicted to that feeling, and then they go for too long and it gets a little awkward. So just walk out on the biggest cheer, biggest laugh. Just know when to stop, okay? And then we have the aptly titled, Kids Who Cannot Wait to Have Sex. And they might not. These kids are treating prom night like an episode of Euphoria. I've never seen Euphoria, but I know it's a bunch of kids having sex. There's a tension to these couples that is almost visible, like cartoon stink line. It's something about the music, the lighting, it just channels something within them that is animalistic. They unlock their
On the dance floor, though?
jaws and shove their tongue down each other's throat like boa constrictors, much to the dismay of every teacher watching, eventually leading to very public over-the-pants stuff, which, hey, let's stop that maybe. And then one kid sees they're doing it and then he's like, oh, I might as well do it with my prom date. And then you start a chain reaction of horniness, which is not good. And I understand you're a 17-year-old boy, which means that your brain is sitting shotgun while your wing works the pedals, but just have an ounce of self-respect.
Oh,
And finally,
your wing works the pedals.
last but not least, we have the royalty, something that confuses me to no end. So we have to pay homage to prom's roots, okay? That's why we have prom queens and kings. Remember that weird thing that we do? Because we need to make it obvious to the collective whole that some people are just better than others, for some reason. I don't get it. The tradition started in the 50s and was generally based off of 3 categories: beauty, poise, and popularity. Which is really mean. Really mean. You know what we should do? We should put kids through a literal...
That's still what it is, though. Like, if you're getting prom king or prom queen, you're like the popular kid in school. Or the date of the popular kid in school.
popularity contest on the most important night of their lives. That won't have any adverse effects on their mental health. Like most things from the 50s, it's weird, but we just kind of let it slide for posterity's sake. Like how your grandparents mention the race of everybody in their stories for no reason. It doesn't add to the plot. They just need to let you know that a black guy was there. But as cringe as it is
oh my god, always. Oh my god, always. Just telling a story. And then this black guy walked up to me. Just a guy. Like, I mean, like, if the story has to relate to the race, I mean, okay. Like, if it's, like, mentioned, like, if he says something about how he's black, but it's, like, otherwise, like, we're just saying he's black? Why are we bringing that up?
Watch 2 kids hit their lifetime peak right in front of you as plastic crowns are adorned on their forehead. It's even worse when the royal court becomes a virtue-signaling massive circle jerk. So this is gonna sound mean, but you just gotta stay with me, okay? Every year, there's a feel-good story about a kid with a horrible illness or a Down syndrome kid getting voted in to be king or queen of prom. And honestly, I don't know if it's okay or not. I don't know if that's cool. I don't know about you, but I feel like...
It depends the intent of it. If you're voting a kid with a severe disability to be prom king to make fun of him, that's fucked up. But if you're doing it because it's like, oh, we're showing support for you, different scenario.
Like with people in that situation, you should treat them like normal human beings and not pawns in a Hallmark movie script. And like you're using them for inspiration. It's weird, right? I just feel like whenever someone's in that situation, you're voting them in to make yourself feel good, not the person there. It seems selfish. I don't know. Maybe they love it. I don't know. And let's not forget about the poor guy who should have won prom king based on 1950s criteria. What about him, the beautiful man? He'll never get his beautiful moment in the sun before he rides into the sunset of wasted potential. The next time you see him, he'll be at a hometown bar, sad, bloated, and probably riddled with CTE. But only if you gave him a crown. Only if he could have been somebody. He could have been a contender.
If only I didn't throw at my fucking shoulder on that junior year state fucking game, dude. I would have been playing for the Dolphins. I would have been on the fucking NFL squad right now, dude.
And then we have after prom. I don't know if I can talk about this, honestly. Some kids go back to the house that they originally came from and they have a little party under parent supervision. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes schools will do like a complete lockdown after prom, which is smart. They should do that. This is when they lock kids into either the school itself or they'll like rent out an entire theme park and keep them there until like 6 in the morning. Not only is this smart because you don't want babies being born at the age of 17, but another horrible reason that you want to lock kids up after prom is because of drunk driving, which is a big issue. There was a survey that revealed 31% of teens
High school teens drunk drive home.
reported they or their friends would be using drugs or alcohol during prom, which is not great. And of the teens who drink on prom, 53% are having 4 or more drinks, so that's not good to drive. And 90% of teens expect their friends to drink and drive on prom night. My God, what?
What? Why didn't they stay somewhere? I thought it was normal to be like having a place to go after.
10% of surveyed teens would rather drive under the influence than call their parents for a ride. So that's a good reason to lock them in. Anyway, after prom, kids have sex. And I don't know how to talk about that. Some kids get hotel rooms. That happens sometimes if the parents are cool. But that's crazy to me that a dad's like, yeah, use my credit card to get banged. But it's also interesting because a lot of people assume you lose your virginity on prom night, which is not true. I had to do some research on that, and now I'm on a list. But I do have the numbers. 14% of girls report having sex on prom night, which is not that many. But only 5% are losing their virginities on prom night, so they're losing it before that anyway. And only 3% of boys are losing their virginity on prom night.
What are these fucking photos?
So a lot of sex is not happening on prom night. It's just crazy how much effort a guy will put into prom for the hopes of...
So 97% of people that are going to prom lose their virginity before prom.
Getting laid, and you have a 3 in 100 chance of getting it done. But hey, them's good odds to a 17-year-old. I'm not gonna blame you. So I would just say to relax. That's what I would say to anyone going to prom. Just relax. Just have fun with your buddies. Don't worry about having too much
I'm very confused. Oh, of the people that are.
fun. It's just another night. It's a stupid night. Nothing ruins fun like pressure, because pressure is pain, and pain isn't fun. New videos every Saturday and Wednesday sometimes. I don't know. Things have been going bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that stat just has to be.